Hey everyone, this is Dr. Nabia Kelly with Tea Time with Dr. Kelly. Thank you for joining us today. We are on an amazing journey preparing for our podcast. Do me a favor before we even go into the episodes. Just begin to like, subscribe on below, share, tag, click the link and give it to someone. And also remember, do the notification tab that when we come on, we pop up. We have some awesome guests. We have people who are coming to drop some gems as they spill the tea in their industries. And we're looking forward for a dynamic time. So thank you for joining us. We look forward to seeing you. We look forward to engaging with you. And as you spill the tea, we shall pour into you. Hey, guys. This is Tea Time with Dr. Kelly. I'm your host, your podcaster, your coach, your midwife, your spiritual encourager, your pusher, the one who is pushing you into your destiny. I am none other than Dr. Kelly, Dr. Nabia Kelly. We want to just thank those who are on now. I want you to subscribe on the bottom. Those of you who have been joining us week after week, I want you to drop a note in the comment section saying how blessed and how the segments have been blessing you. Today is a new day. We have somebody in the studio. And this month, July, is a month dealing with mental health awareness. And we have an exciting guest. And me and this particular individual go way back to 1995 when, in the Biggie era, the Biggie Smalls, Puff Daddy era, But, God has done something truly amazing in the life of my friend. And before I introduce my guest, those of you who are on, I need you all to just begin to share this. Give it to somebody who you know is in need of mental health awareness. This is BIPOC month. This is also the month that we celebrate friendships. So July 30th is International Friendship Day. So if you didn't know, see if you're a good friend. The Bible tells us that those who show themselves friendly, no. The Bible tells us that he who has a lot of friends must show themselves friendly. So this is a month where you begin to see who's loyal in your life, people who you give their flowers while you can. So this is a month where we begin to celebrate those who we break bread with, those who have cried and those who have mourned with us and those who have danced with us. So friendship is a wonderful thing. So even dealing and navigating through loyalty and royalty, sometimes we could lose sight of what really matters, especially in the current climax and the current context in what we're in, where people are dealing with mental health issues, mental illness, which is also a diagnosis from the DSM-5, right? And people who just feel like they want to give up, anxiety, oppression, dealing with suicide, depression on a deeper level, mental oppression. So I believe that this particular episode is going to bring some enlightenment to you. Those of you who are on, I want to kill a disclaimer or kill a notion that therapy or counseling is not for you. I believe that in the multitude of counsel, there is safety, wise counsel, whether there's different types of treatment. You got faith-based healing or faith or therapeutic treatment where you have clinical help, counseling, whether it's through a social worker, psychologist, or those who are spirit-led, right? So I believe that counselors come in different forms, shapes, facets. And in life, you're going to need people who are going to walk you alongside your journey so you could get to your destiny. There are people also in your life that are just destination helpers or destroyer helpers. They come to destroy your progress. They come to sit on your advancement. So I believe that today, while you're in this studio with Tea Time with Dr. Kelly, this is an episode where you spill the tea, we pour back into you. There may be something, a gem that you have. Write it down. Write it down. Make your requests known. Begin to speak what you need so we will know what we could air in the next episode. You never know. You might be the next guest. If you feel like this is a broadcast that you want to share with someone else, tell them the reason you're sharing it with them. Perhaps you have a situation and you're an expert in your story and you want to be the next guest on Tea Time with Dr. Kelly, where we pour into you and we want you to be filled and we know that you're the expert in your story, that either I can get something from it or the people that are watching will get something for it. So without further ado, we just want to introduce Henrimae Price, right?
Yes.
You want me to call you Henrimae or
You can
May?
call me May.
May. So I've had the opportunity of knowing Henrimae or May. We call her May. We started college together, and God has just connected us back to each other. And life will sometimes make you go full circle. I don't even know how we reconnected after all those years, because I remember I had a baby in my first year of college. And you did as well, right,
Yes.
Hakeem? So we got similar stories on how we started college, but we have a story to tell that we're not that 16, 17, 18-year-old person anymore. We're full adults. We're grown-ups now, right?
Right.
So we want to just come on, speak to the audience. We got you in here. We're dealing with mental health. We're dealing with the depraved population, the forgotten ones, the forgotten serving the forgotten, serving the population that you serve. So just tell us about yourself.
Hey, so thanks, Dr. Kelly,
I
for
see you got
having
some
me.
tea.
Yes, I'm gonna dish the tea on social services, mental health, and how you can become a part of the social work community or support the community of mental health. So I'm Henry May Price. I am a licensed social worker. I've been in the field of social services. I guess I'm going to tell my age a little bit, right? For over 20 years, it's been. So I have experience in child welfare, mental health, and working with the homeless population. So it's such an honor to be here with you today, Dr. Kelly, and I really commend the work that you're doing in the community, not just within the church, but also making others aware of this very important topic of mental health, homeless services, and how we as a community can connect to improve and help the community.
And I thank you for taking the time to come on this show, because the homeless population, and that's the area you're serving now, right?
Yes.
The homeless population. I go back to 1997, where I was homeless. I don't know if you ever know that while you was in John Jay. I was homeless because my baby father tried to kill me and tried to kill a baby. So I remember that particular night I went back to my mother's house, and I was like, he had threw my stuff out in the hallway, and I had to move back to my mother just for a few hours to figure things out. And she was like, when you moving this stuff out my living room? So I'm like, I'm going through something major. And it's like something in me. I remember going to school and working in the seat computer lab. And Henrimae was like a security guard. You work for
Right.
security guard
I
with your
work for the-
burgundy jacket,
yes,
right?
my burgundy
Her burgundy
jackets.
jacket. And I was faced with homelessness. And at the time, I remember taking his blue Graco stroller down the train steps to 149th Street to the EAU in Grand Concourse. And I remember it was very cold. It had to be in like 13 or 12 degrees, November 13th, 1997. And I remember how people treated homeless people. And this is a population that we can't think that we arrived, because some of us are one check away of being homeless. Somebody could sell your home, or you could take sick, or whatever your situation is. Homelessness can happen to anyone who didn't. We could have planned well. We could have made a bad investment. And then all of a sudden, you're faced with trying to figure out the basic needs of living. So it may not have looked like I was homeless, but there were many nights while everybody was going home. I was taking the A train to 42nd Street to the Red Cross shelter with my son, and having to leave at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to drop him to Brooklyn, then get back up to 59th Street, then go back down to Brooklyn, pick him up so I could get in time for curfew to the shelter. And I did that for about 9 months. And at the time, you could have went in the shelter for Section 8 or housing or whatever came first. And for some reason, it seemed like God always favored me. And at that time, you got food stamps, not no EBITs, the other debit card, the EBTs, right? So you had like food stamps, those brown faces and everything nobody knew. So you used to buy heroes, all kind of stuff, food with it. But that was one of the areas of my life that, looking back in hindsight, that when you see a homeless person, you begin to say, I'm thankful. for a roof. So I want you to speak to that population and what are some challenges that you see, and whether it be health challenges, day-to-day needs that are faced with this population.
So, what's faced with the population that we see, and listening to your story, right? At that time, you were not homeless, but you were a person without a home,
Yes.
right? And just having access to support. So, us being from New York, right? Born and raised.
Yes.
In New York, there is access to certain services, and they're plentiful.
Yes.
So one of the challenges here in Georgia is access, right? Knowing where to go and where to get help. The other thing that I see here working with those persons without a home, as you said, medical issues and a lot of mental health care. What we notice now with the population, the average age of a person being without a home are individuals that are in their 50s.
Wow. That's interesting. Why?
So life circumstances. For some, they may have started out, just as you mentioned, with employment, good jobs, and then one paycheck, one circumstance can change their life. The laws of housing are different here in Georgia
Absolutely.
than they are in New York, right?
Yes.
So in New York, if you're you fall into that category, before the landlord can even get to court to get you evicted, you will probably be able to recover, find new employment,
Yes.
right? And seek emergency assistance either from social services or other, nonprofit areas, and prevent you and your family from losing your housing. But here, the courts move really very quickly when it comes to
Eviction. So you mean here, the state of Georgia?
In the state of Georgia.
Okay, yes.
Yes, they move very quickly when it comes to evictions. So, and the resources are limited, meaning the nonprofit organizations that help and provide assistance and support, they don't always have all the funding that they need. So, if there are any philanthropists out there, any person or organization or corporation that is looking to invest and have a positive impact, is definitely those organizations and not for profit, be it religious or otherwise, that are helping and providing rental assistance. Utility assistance is another thing. If your utilities are off, you become breach of your lease. And when you breach your lease, the property can move forward and gives you notice and start the route towards eviction.
Going back to New York City, because I came from the social service industry, but I also worked in foster care for over 20 years. And that's dealing with the whole population, whether it's homelessness, education, law enforcement, family dynamics, so the government, Title IVs with adoptions, subsidies, Medicaid, all of those things. So I had to deal with all different entities, substance abuse. So it's an umbrella. Social service is an umbrella. Now, navigating here, I had experienced something that kind of was like very, very heart-rending. And I think some of the people under my ministry and just the group of people that I lead, we had a young lady who came from another state in the shelter system. She had a placement and everything. We had like a service. And at this particular time, this service happened, and she didn't go back on time. So mind you, she has a child that's 7 or 8 and herself. Do you know, this is January 1st, New Year's Day of 2024.
Okay.
Homeless. The boy, it was so cold, he urinated on himself and everything, and they had no placement. So they had to stay like in this cold place. I don't even know what it was. It was very devastating for me to see that there was no programs. So myself, some of the leaders, we were trying to call around different churches, because it's the churches that really have placements depending on the ratio or the age and everything. But I didn't know much about the Department of Homeless Services. So we were calling different people and we kept on getting roadblocks. So myself as a leader, I had to pay for hotel rooms. Some of the people that we're connected to, Aisha, she had to pay for hotel room. We had to bring food, all type of stuff. And it made me feel like, do we need to open up a program here? So now that you're talking, it gives me a more understanding that it wasn't just my experience, but you're working in this field. And are there any cultural stigmas around mental health in Black and brown communities?
They are. So us as a people think that that talk therapy isn't for our culture. Right?
It's true.
Right? We think that people should just get over things that have happened to them. They should just get over their trauma, but it's just not that simple, right? Being a person without a home is very traumatic because there are a lot of dangers that happen. Some, especially women, are sexually assaulted
Yes.
while being without a home. Here in Georgia, this was the first time I've ever saw someone sleeping in a tent.
Yes, you know what? By the highways, they have a
Yes.
lot of tents.
Yes, and so what they do, they're there in tents. They have encampments. So there's a lot of things that go on there. But also in our community, when their behavior is not appropriate, we label them a certain way, even from a young child, right? And
Yes.
then we talk negatively about that behavior instead of saying, wait a minute, what can we do? How can we help this person? Even from a child, how can we help this child? Redirect that behavior into something positive. So now that we're talking about adults, right, the fear comes in. Oh, I don't want to, be around that person because their behavior may be erratic or their behavior may be volatile, or you know what, I don't want to be involved in that. But then you have already placed a negative label on that person, on that behavior, instead of saying, like, what's wrong with them? What happened to
What
them?
happened?
What happened, right? So we see the connection between those behaviors. We see the connection between decision making. So with mental health, it has a lot to do with decision making, right? One poor impulsive decision or multiple impulsive decisions can lead and take you down a different path that has like a domino effect.
Domino effect of everything.
Of every aspect of your life. So now it impacts your ability to work, to live, to love, to have positive social connections with other people. So now here it is, that person, often not by choice, has now ruined those relationships.
It's true.
Right?
It's
And
true.
so now they're at a point where they need help and no one is extending a hand to help them. Especially here now in a society or in a state where the resources are already limited. Now you've burned your bridges to help. And now you're left out there without a home or without your basic needs being met. What I noticed the difference between Georgia and New York, you ever see all of those extended stay hotels?
Yes.
Right? So sometimes people can't afford a full rent or they don't meet the criteria for
Right.
credit, security deposit, down payment, all of those things. So what they will do, they have enough money for a week to rent a room in an extended stay.
And then I think also Sonesta does it too. Sonesta, I think that's one of the hotels that did it as well. In New York, DHS can contract with hotels. Here, I haven't seen it. So it is very limited here also with mental health. My son, at the age of 3, he started displaying some very, very crazy mental health behavior. And he had different diagnoses, fighting the Board of Ed, bureaucratic systems, just to navigate which appropriate help that would be beneficial to him. So I had to fight through a lot of red tape. And he had to be institutionalized because in the regular public school system, they could not really provide the intensive care that he needed. So at the age of 7, the Board of Ed paid for a placement in a group residence. So he had to live in a group residence from the age of 7 to 18. And in the process of that, I had to sit at those meetings, sit at the table, and hearing these people want to put him on medication, diagnose, they're giving false diagnoses. So I'm seeing it from the back end, and I'm working in social services. So I'm looking in the same computer system, right? Seeing how is I think that my feet was orchestrated because I really was going to be a funeral director or work in forensics or criminology. That's what I got my degree. I was going to work as a forensic scientist dealing with crime scene and investigation. But my feet were directed me to working in social service so I would know how to navigate and advocate to ask them, because not because you tell me that it's recommended that I'm going to go for it. So you have to get a lot of literature, educate yourself about mental health, mental illness, and certain things they diagnose. It's not even age appropriate. Right. So I saw that, and then he graduated from the state of New York, IQ level like 4.0, don't even need to study for school. Now he comes down here, move with my sister to Columbus, Georgia, about to go to school, and he begins to have one of his episodes and everything. They put him like in Valdosta or something because they didn't have any mental health treatment centers to stabilize him or acute care. So we're looking at the homeless population. We're looking at the forgotten population because we only want to deem people as bad. But what is the root? Right? And you working in this field currently. I work with it on a different aspect because whether you want to know it or not, I work in a hospital, and the hospital is church.
It is.
Church.
Yes.
It's a hospital where you're dealing with people with homelessness,
yes,
mental health, schizophrenia, phyphrenia, morphrenia. They got all type of things that they're dealing with in the church.
Yes.
Right? And the hospital never closes. But the church, we are forced to figure out, what do we do with this particular? We just want to sometimes push away those who need help.
Or think that prayer is the only remedy for everything. It is. It is.
But you need practicality too.
Yes.
And you need a clinician too. You need sometimes therapy or a little bit of Skittles or medication to help you stabilize some moods. Because we have a lot of people from roots and childhood trauma, embedded things, and just unprocessed trauma. And even when you go back to the courts kicking people out their homes, that can cause trauma.
It can. And especially from childhood, right? So imagine a family, a mother with a child observing this. Mm-hmm. Now, and going from place to place to place. Children who have stable home environments have a higher chance, a greater chance of being more successful, of learning better. So now you have someone who has to move from place to place to place, from shelter in different environments. Now you have exposed this child to traumatic experiences, to loss, to grief, right? Because now I have to reintroduce myself to new people in a new environment. I have to learn to fit in a different way, because not because it was my choice, but this is just because of poverty or lack of resources within the community that I was born into or that I'm familiar with.
And it's interesting that you say that. There's somebody right now, no name, no blame, how they can uproot, take the kid out of school, move them at the drop of a dime, and no stability. Just wherever the wind blows. And it's like every time the child gets acclimated to one school system, homelessness uproot them, because it's a mindset.
Yes.
It's a mentality. So now everything that child or children endure, they're developing running mechanism, the fight and flight response, right? And they're learning how not to have stable relationships, which also ultimately leads them to making impulsive choices of destroying relationships or sabotaging them. So this particular child, I'm looking Why is she not in school? Why are they not stable? What we take for granted of stability and fostering a secure home, that is not somebody else's norm.
Absolutely.
It's not somebody else's norm. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is adding more to the trauma that you're talking about.
It definitely does. And sometimes that child didn't have a role model, right? To know what a healthy relationship was.
It's true.
Right? Or sometimes we've even seen situations where people leave their children with whomever's available to watch them, regardless of what is going on in the environment, so that they can go to work for a few hours to make a few dollars. And one of the things that I notice here, I notice in Georgia that people have to work multiple jobs just to make basic necessities. Like a livable wage is something that is really hard for a lot of people to come by.
Wow.
And even especially in the field of social work and social services as well, right? I've had the opportunity to see young people graduate from college, that college degree. They decide, well, you know what? I want to go into this particular area of social work. However, the amount that's available for their salary is not enough even to pay rent.
It's true.
On a low
pay scale.
A low pay scale,
yes.
In a decent neighborhood, right? And then transportation is different, depending, unless you're in the inner city where you have access to the rail, the MARTA, the bus line. How can a young person survive? How can people survive without access to these things? And so what happens is people who are desperately trying to improve their situation, that are engaged in services, go to communities for community support. However, the resources are not there.
It's very limited because, like you said, in New York, you send out a referral, they getting the help.
Yes.
Because even that same lady I was telling you about and her son, we were going to send her to New York to the PATH system because, they have like dispatchers and they know if there's a 1-to-1 or a tier 2 shelter or this and that. But it was like you taking a risk.
Right.
So they end up going back to the Midwest.
Okay.
And now they're stable, but there was a lot of disruptions. Disruptions. So just to switch a little bit, you're in social services, and what do you do to avoid burnout?
So what I do to avoid burnout, I get up with Dr. Kelly at 5am.com.
And what is that like?
So what that is like is you have to feed your spiritual self, right? And you have to be able to identify when you've had enough. You have to be able to set good boundaries. And you yourself have to be able to articulate when something is hard, when you need time for yourself. And you, as a mom, you have to be able to articulate that to your children too, right? It's okay to say, you know what? I need 30 minutes for me to sit, to meditate, to pray. Maybe it's even a personal conversation that you need to have for someone to pour into you.
Right.
Right? And then now you're uplifted, you're upbeat. Now I can go back and I can spend time and invest time in my children and give them what I need. So one of the things that's very important, to prevent burnout, is self-care, right? If you can, get those massages, go for those walks.
Yes.
Take your lunch break, right?
That's true. Because sometimes we work through our lunch break.
We are so passionate about getting the work done and getting it finished that we don't take our lunch breaks. Take your lunch break. That time is there for you to unplug, right? I saw a quote that says, everything will work again if you unplug it.
That's true.
right? If the something you say, well, you know what, the Wi-Fi is acting up, let me just unplug it
And then reset it.
and reset it.
It's true.
So sometimes you have to unplug from your social media, unplug from work, turn off the phone, the rings, set those boundaries, silence those notifications, because as long as they're coming, you're going to respond. So you have to set those boundaries. That is what helps to prevent burnout. But more importantly, a good social network and social support system. You have to have that, because you can't make it through and navigate life
That's true.
alone,
That's
right?
true.
You have to have that one good girlfriend that be like, girl, you know, you know what? Come on. No, we're not doing this today. Come on. You know, this is what we're going to do. We're going to sit down and we're going to have us a nice meal. We're going to watch something funny. We're going to laugh, and we're going to enjoy being present in the moment.
In the moment. And then also, your social worker have life, family.
Yes.
How did the social worker handle loss? You know where I'm going. How does the social worker handle loss? That's not even on my notes. Handle loss, children, grief, abandonment, fears. How does the social worker, the licensed clinical social worker, deal with those areas?
The same prescription that you would write for someone else, you have to be willing to take the same medicine.
Walk me through that. How did you handle it?
So how I handled it, one, I had to turn to God, right? My faith. I had to realize that, wait a minute, I was born in the church, right? Every time the lights came on, I guess I was there, the little one getting the stool, turning the lights on, right?
Right.
But just going back to my faith, going back to reconnecting and standing on the principles of the word spiritually, but also getting clinical help and therapy myself. How I handled like the major loss that I went through. So I'm gonna share. A couple of years ago, I took my kids. We went to the indoor water park in LaGrange.
Okay.
Great Wolf, right?
Yes.
I said, my kids, they've done excellent. They were high achievers in school, you know, so we're going to go there.
Reward them.
Reward them. Go there for the weekend, right? Ways to avoid burnout, right? Spending time with family, enjoying leisure activities. My daughter, who was about 6 years old, wakes up and says, I had a bad dream that something was wrong with grandma. I was like, girl, I was like, if you don't get back in this bed, it's 2:00 in the morning. Like, go to sleep. Grandma's okay. Because her and my mother were very close. Not even 30 minutes later, my phone rang. I said, Mommy, everything okay? She said, no. She said, the house burned down.
Your
I said,
mom.
my mom.
Okay.
I said, Mommy, what you mean? I said, where's Hakeem? She said, he's not here. He had gotten called into work, and he had left to go to work. So my mom was home by herself. So she said she heard the smoke alarms going off. And then she got her cell phone, and she went outside on the porch, and she called 911. And when they came, she called me. I said, what? So I called my next door neighbor. And I said,
She was living with you?
Yes, living
Okay,
with me here in
here.
Georgia.
Yes.
I brought her with me because she needed care. She couldn't live alone. She
Right.
needed support. And I called my next door neighbor. They looked out the window. She said, I looked outside and it was Christmas. She said, all the lights from the fire truck and everything. I said, can you please take my mother in? I'm in LaGrange. I packed up the kids. I got up. We drove back. But before I pulled away from the parking lot, I said, God, you did not bring me here to leave me. So whatever it is that I'm about to go face, God, I know you're going to take me through. And when I arrived back, by then Hakeem had gone back, and that's exactly what it was. it was an electrical fire. No one's fault. So the power surge had overheated and the room had started, it ignited and the room caught fire. So I was like, oh, wow. I'm like, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? So the Red Cross came out. They talked to us. They had volunteers came out. They give you, some support and assistance on a debit card. I called my cousin and I'm like, our house just had a fire. Can we come there until I can figure stuff out? And my cousin and his wife, they said, come on. So I savaged what I could. My kids, all of their toys, their clothing, everything. So in that moment, I was a person without a home. But because of the supports. So I tell my team all the time, there's nothing different between us and the individuals we serve.
That's right.
Because any one of us, by virtue of circumstance,
Could be in that position.
So how I was able to cope with social support, family support, friend support. And that's how I was able to get there. So my cousin, they allowed us to stay with no time limit. Someone asked his wife, how long they gonna be there? She said, until they not.
So somebody asked them that.
Yeah, she was like, well, they there? Okay, how long they gonna be there? She said, until they not.
That was a good response.
Until they not.
Yeah.
They here until they not. So I was able to figure out with the homeowners insurance, they provide you with hoteling, but I just couldn't go to any hotel because my mom couldn't do stairs. She had mobility issues. So I'm like, listen, we need enough space. Myself, 2 kids. Hakeem is an adult. He needs a place as well. He needs his own space because of the hours he worked in and out. And it was just like, wow, everything just just like that.
Twinkling of an eye.
In the twinkling of an eye. So I'm like, okay, that experience alone could have caused me to fold and I had just started a new job. And a couple of weeks before that, we had a significant loss in our family. My 25-year-old cousin was killed in a car wreck. And then coming from visiting with family and planning, I had a car accident. Right? So it's like all of these things
back to back, like a trickle effect. Yeah.
Like a trickle effect. But one of the things that I learned from a previous experience of separating from my ex-husband was not to isolate myself.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
So when I was going through that, I isolated myself. And an older cousin said, what happened? And ever since I shared with her, what happened? Okay, we not together anymore. My daughter was 10 months old. And KJ was 3. My son was 3 years old.
So it's 3 children.
I have 3 children.
And 2 smaller ones.
And 2 smaller ones. And he was away in college. And I had to figure it out, taking care of a 3-year-old who was in the process of being diagnosed with being on the spectrum for autism. And a 10-month-old baby. I had to figure it out. And she was like, and ever since that day till this day, for the all of the years, she texts me every day, good morning. So when you look at support,
who texts you good morning?
A cousin
Your
of
cousin,
mine,
just to check
an
on you.
older cousin of mine, texts me every morning to this day, never fails, every day. Good morning, how are you? That right there, that support
is vital.
Is vital. So how I was able to overcome all of these different challenges that happened to us was through faith, through social support.
Yes.
Through prayer and networking. And then after it seemed like, okay, things are kind of calming down. We're in an extended stay. I was able to get on the side of town so that my children's school would not be disrupted. Right? I didn't want to transfer them. I didn't want to stay on the side of town where my cousins were. I wanted my kids to at least, because for my son, it would have been harder because of all the things you go through to get services, to make sure.
True.
Right? So I was able, and I did the drive. We went from the hotel, 30 minutes to school, back, work, back. And I did it. And I was like, okay, things are coming. around, found a temporary home for us that had everything we needed. And 3 weeks later to that day, God took my mother home.
So you're dealing with natural disaster,
Natural disaster
but it goes back to the dream that your baby had.
that my baby had.
So, in all honesty, you were being prepared for even something greater that you were going to lose.
Yes.
So your mom passes, but prior to you coming to Georgia, you followed what God had said, right?
Yes, I followed what God had said. So prior to coming to Georgia, Dr. Kelly did a series, right, on iBirth.
Yes, I birthed. Oh yeah, the 21
Right?
days or 40 days, yes.
Right, the iBirth. And you gave a lot of good information, right? The first information that you gave, not realizing that was about mental health and wellness. Get up, shower, put your makeup on, get dressed, and present yourself before God the way you will present yourself before people.
That's right.
Right? That was the first. And that right there, it's sometimes for someone who's going through depression, we were in the middle of a pandemic. Where we going? Where we going? But
Because I
walking
was
around.
dressing as if I was going outside.
Right. Where we going? But that is the first, that's the first step in becoming, in addressing social, mental health issues, is the ability to get up and move around and prepare yourself for the day as with a full, knowing that you were just moving around the four walls of your home, right? Because no one was going out. Everyone was Instacarting,
Yes.
everything was masked. You wipe down the groceries.
When they come in,
when they
everything.
come in,
Yes.
put the bags in the
Because the
trash.
world went on pause.
Because the world went on pause. We didn't know
what to do.
where the germs came from. So with the iBirth and the instructions and all of those things, I took it seriously. I was praying, and my daughter saw me praying every day, and she took on a posture of prayer, her little self, and she was like, "Okay, mommy, all right, we're gonna pray." I was like, and we prayed, and we prayed, and we prayed, and that's how God opened up the door for us to transition to Georgia.
And your 3 keychains.
And my 3 keychains, yes. So not realizing that vision that God gave you of getting your keychains, those are symbols of hope, right? So a lot of times some people say, oh, we over spiritualize things. No, they're not over spiritualized, but if you want to look at it from a different aspect, that's hope.
That's right.
Right?
Something to look forward to. That's right.
You have to have that.
Because
right?
it's life after a relationship that didn't go right.
Right.
And just starting over and just trying to navigate where you go from here. And I believe even I was calling people on FaceTime to see if they was dressed for iBirth. You remember
Yes,
that, right?
yes.
Because I was calling people, if you want to be successful, you're going to have to get up, get dressed. Because depression was hitting people like crazy.
Yes, because of the grief, the loss. I mean, thousands of people died.
Yes, in New York, it was epicenter.
Yes, at one time. So that loss. So when we talk about mental health and bringing it into the church community, we can't
Yes,
ignore
let's talk
it.
about that. We can't ignore
We
it.
can't ignore it. That person that may demonstrate violent behaviors and that they always fighting back at the house. It's going to take more than the deacons laying hands in prayer.
Yes.
It's going to take them to sit down and answer some questions and figure out what is needed to help them manage their emotions and control their impulses. And if it happens to be psychotropic medication, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's not about being ill. It's about what do you need to stay well.
To stay well. And it's called health and wellness.
Yes.
And that is one of the riches that people don't see as a rich or wealth. Health and wellness.
Yes.
When you're healthy and you're well, you can function. You can get another job.
Yes.
You could get another apartment. But after the loss of your mom and fast forward into now, what are some beautiful things that May is doing?
So some things that I'm doing right now, one, I am actually back into the field of offering psychotherapy.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
then you'll be able to tell people where they can find you, where they can book you.
Yes, yes. So I am a part of Heritage Care Place, a beautiful organization that would started actually in the UK. They also have branches in Texas as well for different services. But we're in Stockbridge, Georgia. Yes,
So let me ask you, is it telehealth or is it in person?
I do both. So that facility has a capacity, because sometimes you want to come in and talk to someone face to face.
That's
Everyone
right.
doesn't do well over the
Over
screen,
virtual, right.
Or their environment does not allow for them to have that privacy, right? Because you have other people in other rooms, or you're trying to navigate it through your car, then your phone is running hot. But if you need to come in and see someone in person, park your car.
That's
Let's
right.
sit down and have a conversation.
And also, with your practice, you have nonprofit or you have your business license and all of that, because I believe that the population is needed. I mean, the work that you do is so needed. And I commend you for staying the course.
Yes, it is not easy, and it definitely is very challenging. So we want to make sure that we are staying connected. And right, I have some long-term goals. My consulting company is in view, so we'll be working on that in the near future.
Because I saw the consulting firm.
Yes.
I did. And then tell us 5 fun facts about yourself.
5 fun facts. Well, one, I'm a TikToker. I love watching the young people on TikTok.
Ooh, help me, because they trying to get me on TikTok. But go ahead. I'm about to get on TikTok.
Because I enjoy the happy parts of it, right?
With the dancing.
With the
and
dancing,
the
yes. And that's fun. So I like doing those. I like watching the reels. I like you know what? That's part of mental health as
It's
well.
true, cause I be cracking up and laughing at that stuff when I be a little overwhelmed, I be scrolling on those reels.
Yes,
Right?
right. Those 30 seconds, a minute, that one little dose can definitely change your mood, right? It can shift things. You can find information
Yes.
on where to vacation and different things. Another fun fact is I'm an aspiring balloon artist.
What's that?
So you know how people they're doing
Oh,
the
to balloons and the arches with parties and stuff.
I like doing that. It's
For real?
It's relaxing. You got
Twisting balloons and spraying them.
like you take the balloons, you fill them up. They have sizers. You size them, you tie them up, and you make your arches. Yes.
Look, I be hiring somebody in to always do that stuff.
But if you have time, it's fun, right? And then another fun fact about myself, I like to cook,
Okay.
and I like to travel.
That's 4.
One other fun fact, and I love music and can't sing.
Well, join the club, because I can't sing, but I'll be trying in my head. Right? And what does May look like in the next 2, 3, 4 years?
Well, in the next 2, 3, 4 years, May looks like having a consulting firm with a group, but not just doing clinical work, but also I'm really passionate about staff development.
Training, yes.
And training, right? And bringing those things, coaching and mentoring to the field, because that's what helped me.
That's right.
I had some excellent mentors during my career working for Children's Services. And that's what helped me to be able to connect with people and develop staff now. So that's what it looks like. If it be God's will, I hope to marry again.
Yes. Speak to the camera and tell them.
I hope to marry again. I hope to love again.
Speak on this one.
I hope to marry again. Hope to love again. Right? Just because you had a bad situation in the past, right? Dr. Kelly has given us some jewels of hope, right? What did you say? God is redeeming the time.
That's right.
Right? Joel 2, chapter 2, right?
Yes.
God is redeeming the time, right? All of those things that happened in the past, you have, let them go. And whatever it takes for you to heal and be able to let those things go, you definitely want to make sure that you are taking those steps day by day. The journaling, the the pointed prayer.
The
What is
prayer
it? The
points
prayer points
and the declaration.
and you're
Yes.
right, and the declarations. Those are all tips for you to maintain your mental wellness and stability from a clinical sense, but also from a spiritual sense.
And also practical and application,
Yes,
because we got to do the work.
you have to do the
You
work.
have to do the work. And also to add to that particular Joel chapter 2, today you shall get double. Remember, I taught that this morning
Yes.
on Zechariah 9 and 12, that the fruit is going to remain and God is bringing order to every area of our life. And I taught that at 5 a.m. this morning. And I believe that all the things that we've been through, He given us double
Double,
for our trouble.
double,
And with
double.
that being said, clock that T. We give God thanks and praise. We thank you for even taking the time out to come and sit with us. Just tell us one thing about where can homeless services, how can they find the homeless services? How can they find you? What do they need to do?
So what they need to do if someone is a person without a home and needs support here in Georgia, they need to Google the local COC, right? That's the Continuum of Care. That is the starting point in the Metro Atlanta area for you to get help and assistance if you're a person without a home. There you will find organizations such as the Gateway Center, where you will go there. It's like it's similar to the path.
The path. Okay, so it's a
Yes,
wait-in
it's the
center.
pathway. Yes, the
Okay.
pathway in, and that you start there within whichever county you're living in. So you want to identify which organization has the contract and serves as the path by Googling the COC, Continuum of Care. And that network is how you can start and get access. And you don't have to be a person without a home. You can be a person who is also facing eviction or having issues paying your rent, right? You run through some hardships, some hard times, your work was cut, your hours. Seek the services and support soon. Call 211. United Way has that call center. You can
211.
call 211 here, and they will give you a list of organizations that have services and support. What I can say to the faith-based organizations, right, to our churches, is very important that they also develop a community service side of their organization,
It's
right?
true.
Right. Separate the church is the church, and that's
But the like services that you provide.
services that you provide separate, a whole separate
Different entity.
entity.
Yep.
Right. Your funding looks
501c3,
different.
you're funded, yes.
Looks different, right? People, organizations, philanthropists will support the service part that you're giving to the community,
And not necessarily the religious
and
side.
not the religious side.
Absolutely. And I actually had a meeting with someone who does grant writing, and she told the same thing. So the church could limit you, but when you start providing, like, say, like resume writing, skill building, training, leadership development, character development, and stuff like that, that falls under another umbrella. And
Transportation services, that's a big thing. We could go on and on about the different areas of support that can be given, even like Lyft rides, right? Having an account set up through your community church or nonprofit organization, that if someone needs a Lyft ride to get to work or medical appointments, right, to help them, meet their daily obligations, that is something that can just help. People think it has to be a big thing, but just a small area of support can actually help a person succeed.
wow. So those of you, you heard a mouthful. Even if you need to navigate in a slim window of getting help, the COC, she dropped some gems. And we look forward to those of you who have tuned in. We want to thank you, May, for joining and even encouraging me, because I felt like my teaching is in vain.
It's not.
And I feel like I'm not relevant anymore in the space of teaching at 5 a.m. anymore, because when you see people not really coming on, but you never know who you're impacting. So that's an encouragement to me, a key of hope for me, a little nugget of hope for myself.
Keep going.
Keep going. I receive it.
Keep going.
Keep going. So thank you, my friend. Those of you, we want to say thank you for joining us for Tea Time with Dr. Kelly. Another hitter, another on fire topic, and a much needed topic: mental health, homelessness, getting services, and just being able to be spearheaded in the right direction. So tune in to our next episode, and we will see you as we clock that tea. You spill it, and we'll pour back into you. Peace. Thank you all for joining us for our episode with Tea Time with Dr. Kelly. And we look forward to seeing you another time. Just remember, subscribe, tag, share, put your notifications on as we continue to spill the tea.